Could Arsenal be lining up a move for Dusan Vlahovic this summer? Yes, people, wife boy, and welcome back to another Arsenal transfer news video. As always, if you absolutely love being kept up to date with daily Arsenal transfer news vids, this is the place to be. Make sure you subscribe down below, we're to 4,000 subscribers, and hit the bell notification button so you never miss a future video on this channel. It's a win-win for both of us. And let me know in the comment section your thoughts on a Vlahovic potential move to Arsenal. Let's not waste any more time and get straight into the tweet brought today by Fabrizio Romano stating this: understand Dusan Vlahovic could leave Juve, but only for an important bid. He's one of 4 strikers being considered by Paris Saint-Germain. Chelsea are currently not negotiating for Vlahovic, despite reports. Chelsea and Bayern appreciate Dusan, but haven't opened talks as things stand. And this is interesting, right? Because that basically is saying that Dusan Vlahovic could leave Juventus this summer, and we know Arsenal have an interest in the player. This was proven in previous seasons when Arteta wanted to bring in Vlahovic. A deal didn't materialise. Now, if anything, apparently Dusan Vlahovic snubbed Arsenal and ended up going to Juventus instead when he was at Fiorentina. And Arsenal went on to sign Gabriel Jesus in the summer. Could Arsenal come back in for Vlahovic again? I mean, we know we do need a striker. That's glaring. I think a lot of fans have said this. We do need a complete bagsman up front. For all Jesus' good work, and he has produced good work for Arsenal, a lot of Arsenal fans have loved what Jesus is doing. The brother is an out-and-out goal scorer. We can all agree on this, right? For all his beautiful link-up play, sometimes you just need someone that's going to put the ball in the back of the net. I made this point previously, right? Can someone tell me in the comment section any Premier League team that's won the Premier League without an out-and-out goal scorer? I'm not saying it has to be a striker, but at least someone that can get you goals in the team. Even for Liverpool when they won, it was Salah getting the goals, right? From the wings. But you're looking at Haaland last season. You're looking at Shearer back in the day for Blackburn. Vardy for Leicester when they won the league. Aguero all those years for Man City before. Every single team that wins the league has some kind of out-and-out goal scorer that's going to bag them goals. For Arsenal last season, I love the fact that Ødegaard chipped in with 15. Saka, Martinelli likewise with double-digit goals. But there was not one person in that team that you could rely on to get you 20 plus goals a season. And I think that's what hindered us. Because you stick a Harry Kane, you stick Osimhen, you stick a Erling Haaland in that Arsenal team. And I'm confident we win the league last season. Genuinely I am. Because there was just certain matches where we just couldn't get that final end product and just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. When you know in similar matches for Man City, Haaland will be that man to put the ball in the back of the net when things are tough and they just need that one winner. So if I look at it from Arsenal's standpoint, we do need a striker. Now whether we address it this summer or next summer, I'm not too sure. For me, if you're going to sign a striker, that's not a position you skimp on. That's not a position you spend 20, 30 million on and hope for the best. If you're going to sign a striker, you break the bank. You know that you're putting a large sum of transfer fees on the line for a striker because you know they will recoup that with the goals they will score. Now, is Dusan Vlahovic a potential for Arsenal? Maybe. Maybe in the sense that we know Arteta likes a player. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tried to sign him in a previous season. So, the interest is there. Now, whether we go back in for the player, that's a whole nother question. To be honest with you guys, I don't know if I necessarily see this one potentially happening. Nothing against Dusan Vlahovic. It's just, do we want to go back in for a player that snubbed us? And is Dusan Vlahovic actually the type of player I want to see at Arsenal as well? Because for me, if I look at a striker I want to see Arsenal bring in, I like the type of potential Vlahovic has. Tall player, clinical finisher, we mentioned this before. But I think there's other options out there. I mean, I'm looking at Ivan Toney. I know he's on a transfer ban until January, right? But for me, he's a perfect type of striker. Premier League proven, got 20 goals basically in a Brentford team. Think about how many goals he'll get in an Arsenal team now. I think Ivan Toney's ready for that next step up in his career once he comes back from his transfer ban. So he'd be a perfect type of striker I'd like to see Arsenal bring in. Other than Ivan Toney, you're looking at someone like Victor Osimhen potentially. Will cost a lot of money, but look, that's how much it's going to cost for these top strikers nowadays. If you want a striker that can compete with Erling Haaland at Man City, you're going to have to buy the best of the best. And Osimhen's looking like that type of striker. Winning the Scudetto with Napoli last season, he's proven his worth in that sense. So if I look at it from that standpoint, guys, I'm going to be completely honest. Arsenal brought in Kai Havertz, Declan Rice and Urian Timber. Good. I like the addition so far, but it's not done. For me, I'm looking at a central defensive midfielder and a striker. Those are the next 2 positions I need to see Arsenal bring in my opinion. Now, if I look at it from this standpoint, I would love it if this summer we bring in another defensive midfielder. I'd love for it to be Tchouaméni or Moises Caicedo. Those would be the 2 options I'm narrowed down to. But I understand that can only really happen if we sell Thomas Partey. And of course, that involves selling other players as well. Now, should we bring in Caicedo, Tchouaméni, end up selling Partey, end up selling some other fringe players like Balogun, Nketiah potentially, Tierney, Lokonga, Tavares, Pepe, players like that, etc. Rob Holding to add to that list and Cedric Suarez. Then if we bring a defensive midfielder, then our total net spend this summer will probably be around the £180 million mark, let's say. I like that. That's good. We brought in a brilliant world-class midfielder in Declan Rice, a brilliant right-back / centre-back for now and the future in Urian Timber, a versatile attacker in Kai Havertz, and another world-class defensive midfielder in Caicedo or Tchouaméni. I'm happy. Then in January or the summer, you spend basically the whole transfer budget on a striker. I think every Arsenal fan will probably be happy with that. That's what I would like to see happen. I understand this summer we won't be able to sign a world-class striker and a world-class defensive midfielder. So pick and choose. Sign the world-class defensive midfielder this summer, and then next summer sign the world-class striker. That's what I would do personally. Or flip it. But I look next summer, right? And next summer you can have players like Mbappe on the market. You can have Victor Osimhen on the market potentially if it doesn't go this season. You could even have Harry Kane on the market. You never know, man. I mean, it might be Sol Campbell 2.0. Why not test the waters? Ivan Toney potentially as well after his transfer ban's done. Could tempt him to move. So I look at next summer, I think the transfer market, especially for strikers, could really, really heat up for Arsenal Football Club. But the main thing is business shouldn't be done quite yet. I've heard reports that Arsenal are expected to make more signings. They are not finished in terms of the incoming business. They're just relying on transferring out players first. And if that's the case, I like that strategy. Make the right incomings early, get them in before pre-season, and then get integrated into the squad. I am hearing that both Declan Rice and Urian Timber will be involved heavily in pre-season. I'm not quite sure if they will be involved for the game on Thursday against Nuremberg, but definitely for the USA tour, I do expect them to go along for that one. So that's good. We saw what happened last season when Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko were involved early. It helped them really get integrated and molded into the squad. So by the time the season started against Crystal Palace, we started like a house on fire, man, and went straight out the blocks and started brilliantly last season. I'm looking for a similar sort of vein this season when we play Nottingham Forest at home on the first game of the season. So if I look at it in that sense, right, I'm liking the business so far, but job's not finished. The late great Kobe Bryant said it best. The job's not finished. We brought in 3 players, but we're not done. The reason we fell short to Man City, in part because we didn't have a world-class striker, in my opinion, but also we didn't have the squad depth. For the majority of the season, up until March/April, we were brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Cooking on all fronts. But Saliba got injured. We took a massive hit. Rob Holding came in the team. It wasn't quite the same. Saka didn't get injured, but you could tell he was tired. He was a little bit run down. Who could we replace him with? No one. He had to run through the games. That held us back. So it's the little things. It's the little minor incidents, right? Whereas you look at Man City, when Ruben Diaz is injured, Laporte comes in. When Riyad Mahrez is injured, you've got other players coming in. Phil Foden potentially could come in. Bernardo Silva at right wing if needs be. They've got options that can fill in key areas. And the way I look at it from this standpoint as an Arsenal fan is, right, if you don't trust that player to play in Premier League games or Champions League games, he should not be in the squad if he's not a young player. Let me explain it this way, right? If it comes to next season and Martinelli's injured and Trossard comes in the team, as an Arsenal fan, are you sitting there worried and thinking, oh my God, no, I can't see that Martinelli's injured? No, you're not. You're completely fine with Trossard in the team because you trust him and you understand that he's a very adequate replacement. Equally, if Ben White gets injured next season and Timber comes in at right back, I'm not sitting there worried. That shows that they're good, adequate replacements. However, if Saliba gets injured and suddenly Rob Holding starts for Arsenal, the majority of the fan base is absolutely worried going into that game. They're nervous, thinking what could happen. That proves that Rob Holding's not quite good enough for the football club. Therefore, he has to be sold. That would be my policy for Arsenal Football Club. If they're not going to contribute to winning a Premier League and Champions League, if you can't trust them to play in Premier League and Champions League matches, and they're not a young player that's getting developed like a Charlie Patino or Real Waters or something like that of that sense, or Cozy Dewberry, then just sell them. Because there's no point having them around. They're dead weight. And I know it's ruthless, I know it's harsh, but that's the name of the game. You don't make the top of the footballing pyramid if you're not a harsh team. Like, look at Pep Guardiola. You saw the interview that Gabriel Jesus gave out, right? He cried. Now, I'm not saying you should make your players cry or anything of that sense. I'm not saying you have to be arrogant. I'm not saying you have to be a real asshole about it. But you have to make ruthless decisions. If the player's not good enough, you have to let them go. Make the money back and then reinvest it elsewhere. So I heard this point the other day, right? If Arsenal sell Balogun and Eddie Nketiah, they could make 70 million off those two players, genuinely. You could make 45 maybe for Balogun and maybe 25/30 for Eddie Nketiah. You could reinvest that in a brilliant striker. And then suddenly you've sold Eddie Nketiah and Balogun, two fringe players, brought in a brilliant striker and have Jesus as a backup. That's miles better than just having Eddie Nketiah and Balogun chilling on the sidelines. Do you get what I mean? So you have to make ruthless decisions sometimes to improve yourself as a football team. That's just my thought process on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section regarding what type of striker you'd like to see Arsenal sign, and whether you believe Arsenal do need a striker or not. I personally, I'm going to run up the video by saying I don't necessarily think Arsenal will go for Dusan Vlahovic. It is an option, and it's interesting to see that Juventus are open to letting him go so soon after signing him, if it is for an important bid, of course. But I do expect Arsenal to move for a striker, if not this summer, next summer for sure. I do expect it to be on the bucket list. I appreciate you guys all for tuning into this channel. If you enjoyed the video and made it this far, make sure you drop a like down below so this video gets out to more people in the algorithm. And if you are new, make sure you subscribe. I'm on road to 4,000 subscribers, and hit the bell notification button so you never miss a future video on this channel. It's a win-win for both of us. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care.